Also, and it's a liberal worry, what about if we're going to think of our disagreements about morality and religion as bound up with our disagreements about justice? How are we ever going to find our way to a society that accords respect to fellow citizens with whom we disagree? It depends, I think, on which conception of respect one accepts. On the liberal conception, to respect our fellow citizens' moral and religious convictions is, so to speak, to ignore them for political purposes, to rise above or abstract from or to set aside those moral and religious convictions, to leave them undisturbed, to carry on our political debate without reference to them. But that isn't the only way, or perhaps even the most plausible way, of understanding the mutual respect on which democratic life depends. There is a different conception of respect, according to which we respect our fellow citizens' moral and religious convictions not by ignoring, but by engaging them, by attending to them, sometimes by challenging and contesting them, sometimes by listening and learning from them. Now, there's no guarantee that a politics of moral and religious attention and engagement will lead in any given case to agreement. There's no guarantee it will lead even to appreciation for the moral and religious convictions of others. It's always possible, after all, that learning more about a religious or a moral doctrine will lead us to like it less. But the respect of deliberation and engagement seems to me a more adequate, more suitable ideal for a pluralist society. And to the extent that our moral and religious disagreements reflect some ultimate plurality of human goods, a politics of moral engagement will be politics. When we first came together some 13 weeks ago, I spoke of the exhilaration of political philosophy and also of its dangers, about how philosophy works and has always worked by estranging us from the familiar, by unsettling our settled assumptions. And I tried to warn you that once the familiar turns strange, once we begin to reflect on our circumstance, it's never quite the same again. I hope you have by now experienced at least a little of this unease, because this is the tension that animates critical reflection and political improvement, and maybe even the moral life as well. And so our argument comes to an end in a sense, but in another sense goes on. Why, we asked at the outset, why do these arguments keep going, even if they raise questions that are impossible ever finally to resolve? The reason is that we live some answer to these questions all the time. In our public life and in our personal lives, philosophy is inescapable, even if it sometimes seems impossible. We began with the thought of Kant, that skepticism is a resting place for human reason, where it can reflect upon its dogmatic wanderings, but it is no dwelling place for permanent settlement. To allow ourselves simply to acquiesce in skepticism or in complacence, Kant wrote, can never suffice to overcome the restlessness of reason. The aim of this course has been to awaken the restlessness of reason and to see where it might lead. And if we have done at least that, and if the restlessness continues to afflict you in the days and years to come, then we together have achieved no small thing. Thank you.